Thank you so much for coming again. And after that very extended break, where a lot of us were also taking pictures, and you guys were very kind and patient while we were doing our little photo shoot, I would love to introduce you all to Lit Kanmani's first author, Aftab Yusuf Shaikh. Can we please have a round of applause?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so a little bit of interesting history here. Uh, Yeah, so my first experience with publishing was while I was working with a kids publisher, and one of the books that I worked on while I was interning there was Aftab's Letters to Ammi, and that is how I was introduced to him. Fast forward a few years later, he sent his new young adult fiction book, Waiting for Father, to us to Lit Kanmani for publication. Obviously, it was an instant yes, because I think also Letters to Ami was one of the books that really hits you hard, that probably made me cry, at a kid's book, which is wow. So yeah, a little bit about Aftab. He is a poet, he is a writer, and he's an educator. He's an extremely popular educator. As you can tell, if you go to our social media, you'll see that the posts, the videos that feature Aftab always have the highest engagements, and all of his students are commenting and liking and sharing and calling him "Oh Captain, my Captain" and all of that. So obviously, as quiet and humble as he has made so much of an impact on people. And he's explored so many different themes and subjects with his work as well. He's so unassuming, sometimes you wouldn't, guess or remember. That is until you have to carry a bag full of his books up the stairs, like I did this morning, and then you realize, okay, he's very accomplished. So, little bit about Aftab in his own words now. If you don't mind, Aftab, could you introduce yourself as a writer to the audience?
Didn't leave much because whatever she said, that's all. I don't know anything else. My name is Aftab, and I've been writing since I was around 8 years old. I wrote my first poem when I was 8 years old, and thankfully it was published that very year. But I don't have any proof of that. I heard it, but I don't know. I have no actual material proof for that. And then I kept on writing. So I'm 33 and I've been writing for almost 24 years, I guess. And yet I don't think the word accomplished doesn't suit with me because it's just struggling. I am also getting my share of rejections. Before she accepted it, I myself thought that I don't know if this book will ever see the sun.
So now
I think
both the
that's
book and you are getting plenty of sun and attention, I hope.
my parents named me after the sun.
Perfect. See, makes
What
sense.
can I do?
Okay, so you've also written for children. So how did this journey begin, and was it a conscious choice?
Mm, when I started, maybe it was not a conscious choice, but later on, I know that in my head I have stopped thinking about stories for adults because there is a selfish reason behind this that writing for adults is not that fulfilling for me because when you write for children, because we all know that the books which we cherish the most are the ones which we read when we were young kids. So I want to be remembered longer. So that is why I want to, get into the lives of young kids. Adults forget, I myself forget. So that is why maybe I thought of, and I love kids. I hope kids love me.
Obviously, they do. And in case you've missed it, you should also check out the very cute pictures of Aftab's kids as well that we have on our social media. They are adorable. And again, with your students.
Taken by their mother.
Okay. Okay. So now you've also written young adult fiction.
Yeah.
So, what is your attitude towards that? Are you seeing it as a transition between kids and adults literature, or do you see it as a genre of its own?
Mm, it is a different genre on its own, but again, if you use that selfish part, those who have missed me and have grown up into young adults, so I want to hold on to them also. It's kind of that. But yes, young adults are also children. I myself am a child also.
On that note, can we please ask you to read an excerpt from Waiting for Father?
Yeah, because this book is not yet published, so I chose one extract from it, which I think the book is about a father and son relationship, and I think this part somewhat introduces it. Let's see. The name of the boy, the protagonist is Shams. Shams is sun in Arabic, and Aftab is sun in Persian. So it is just a game of changing names, kind of. It is me. Shams loved spending this time with Abu, holding the lighter among his bags and walking with him on the street clad in him. Abu kept his hand on Shams's shoulder when they walked together. Though he despised Abu for many things, it was impossible for him to sleep at night without Abu on one side and Ammi on the other. As he reached the tree, Shams looked back to see whether the vendor was following him to see which friend's house he really was going to. But the bored vendor was too tired to care for Shams or his friend's house. Shams had only one friend on earth, Kaustubh, who stayed far away from the other side of the town. The distance to Kaustubh's house was twice the distance from home to Abu's haircutting salon. Kaustubh had to ride on his bicycle to reach the salon when once in a month he needed a haircut. Abu always gave him a big discount, which left him with a lot of money for candies. Shams got his share of the sweets next day in school. The friend that Shams many times referred to, the vegetable vendor, was the dark tree itself, and the friend's house was the concrete slab beneath the tree. Shams sat on the slab under the tree as the street got more and more quiet. The breeze was very cool, and Shams's half sleeve shirt was causing him lack of comfort in the school atmosphere. The rustle of leaves of the tree disturbed him in his quietness. It seemed some ghosts were on the tree, whispering their plans to kill him. Though he avoided it for some moments, the sound of the leaves kept scaring him, until he got up and started walking again. But before he could move out to the leafy cloud of the tree, he saw the familiar blue striped shirt and the grey pants. Thin salt and pepper hair swept back, sleeves folded till halfway up the elbow, and a stainless steel watch on the right wrist. The reflection of the street light falling on the spectacles, and the most comforting smile in this whole wide, broad world. It was a book. That's the introduction.
Thank you so much. This is from the first chapter of Waiting for Father.
Yeah.
And as you can tell by that tiny Freudian slip where you said me instead of him, uh, Waiting for Father is inspired by a lot of real life incidents, including the main character, who's a young poet. What set this process off?
Actually, these were two books in my head. One was autobiography of a poet who has not done much, but from the childhood part, how he started writing poetry and all that. And the other book was about the riots of 92 and 93 in Mumbai. So those, they are in very two different, time slots, because that happened when I was 2 years old, and this part is way later, much later. So I combined both of them. I put myself back. I and so the the story is half me and half is imagination or fiction, something like that. Because wherever it is Shams, it is me, except for the rights part, because that is imagined and based on what I've heard about it. Because I was not there. I was there, not consciously there. So, yeah.
To give you a little bit of context, the riots we're talking about are the communal riots that happened in Mumbai in '92. Yeah, and we also cover sections in Waiting for Father where we see that Shams as a poet is not, or he is struggling to get the recognition that he deserves, lack of opportunity. So, can you tell us a little bit about how this reflects?
Actually, my background is not like that, that I will be doing something with literature. So, the only person whom I know related to literature still in my entire family is my father. My father is an Urdu poet, and he was the push, he was the support, he is the support. He never, I failed in my SSC exams, 10th standard exams, and he never said anything to me. And that is how I went on and on, because he was never, he was always supportive. My mother was also supportive, but she was supportive when the praise came in, because uh, she was not aware of what what if it is a big deal or something like that. So it starts with that I'm writing. I don't know how to send my writing to a publisher, to a book, whatever it is, magazine. There was a newspaper, a supplement in Midday Mumbai. It was called Fun Day. So I wanted to send my work to that newspaper, my poem. My first poem was Breakfast. So I started with Breakfast. So that poem was published in Fun Day, but I didn't know. I have no proof, as I told you. So that time somebody told me. I asked somebody how to send to the editor. They said this is not worth sending it. So I decided I will send it. And my father said you should send it, and I sent it. It was published. So and later on, there was a time when there was a small magazine in my neighborhood. They worked on it. So I used to send my work to them, and the editor used to not put my name there because he said this is not written by you. So that was another compliment from him.
So, do you ever get personally attached to the stories that you write?
Always. I don't want anybody to have the limelight. Every protagonist who is a male, almost every protagonist is me. I have to change the name for variety, that's all. Otherwise, Shams is me. In my Library Girl, the first novel, the name was Aftab because it was about me. And then the sequel kind of a Geometry of Broken Relations, which is going to come soon. In that, I've changed the name, but it is still me. It is always me. Full of myself, not full of myself, full of stories about myself.
So then the question doesn't arise whether you're able to move on from that because essentially you feel like you're still writing about the same character, the same person.
I'm very bad at moving on because I don't know, I don't know how I seem to people, and I'm very, I'm somebody who cries when I watch movies and at very random scenes, my eyes head up. So I'm very clingy. I cannot move on. The people because of which the stories were there and everything. I don't move on. That's life. I don't want to move on. That is what I lived.
Very well put. So you also write poetry, you also write shorter fiction. So does the writing process differ?
I don't know about the process thing because I'm very, lazy. When I look back, I think that I wasted many years not writing. Just think, when I see a movie about a writer and then romanticization of all that, then I start working, then again I leave it. I'm very, I don't know. Poetry is something that, for example, last night I wrote a poem, Old Kacheri Road, because I'm staying in a place. there, nearby in Bangalore, Cotton Peta. So I have been to that place around, this is the third time. But the poem was there until now, and I wrote it last night. I was sitting in a mosque and I wrote it there in my phone. So it's like that, I don't know the process. The thoughts are there, waiting for Father is with me from the past 15 years. But slowly it comes to writing. I don't know about it. I would like to say something about the process, but I don't have anything.
I think the funniest thing to note here is also that Aftab is describing himself as lazy, even though he is here for an event and technically he was supposed to be relaxing yesterday and he was writing yesterday. And if you go inside and you look at the number of books that he's written, you will understand what lazy really means. Okay, so now that we're moving past your writing routine, what about external inspirations? Do you have any favorite writers or authors?
Whenever this question is asked, now I have a one name ready, it's R.K. Narayan. Because I'm not able to, whenever somebody asks me which is your favorite book, I say 100 Years of Solitude. But I've liked other books also, but just to give a name. And R.K. Narayan actually played a very important role because when I saw Malgudi Days again on Pogo, earlier it was on national some national television, but I don't know. It was around. I failed in my. Achha, that is very important. I failed in my 10th standard exams, so there was time. At that time, I started seeing Malgudi Days, and exactly that time Pogo started showing it. So when I saw Malgudi Days, I realized I can or I should write like this. And then I started. I got my first typewriter that time. I told her I foolishly sold it when I got a computer. So I started, I started writing because I wanted to type something on the typewriter. Because a writer has to type on the typewriter. And that is how I started writing. So short story started with R.K. Narayan. And the Bachelor of Arts by R.K. Narayan was the reason I started writing a novel. So both places he is there. And if one more minute, I should tell this also. When I went to Mysore, Akira's house is there, and I was with my wife and children because I made them second-hand fans of Akira. So I was in an auto rickshaw and we were looking for the place. And in Mysore, nobody knew where was Akira's house. The auto rickshaw driver came with me, and when he finally found it, and we went inside, he also came inside, and he was also surprised. So I was very saddened by that because he's R.K. Narayan and Mysore does not know about it. If it was a television star, not even a movie star, then people must have known. It's not good.
So if we can take this in a slightly different direction, we've covered the past, right? We've covered what is coming soon in the present, waiting for father and everything. If I can give you a somewhat interview sort style of question, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Not, no, not somewhere where I hope to be. Because my whole life I've never been there where I wanted to be, but I have been at better places. So I don't want to think about that. I was, I'm 33, 13 years back I was on the hospital bed. I'm a leukemia survivor. So I was there. So why would I hope to be somewhere else? I didn't want to be on the hospital bed. And then I have been to places my entire family never imagined. Let's see what will come. Not a problem. I'm living my bonus life. I'm fine with that.
Such an uplifting note. If do we have any questions from the audience? If there's nothing else, then we can wrap up. Any questions?
So you said that in a lot of your writings you are the protagonist. So do you also include people around you in it? So who would be those people? Are there a set of people common which are you know there in a lot of your writings?
People don't have a choice. If I want them, they have to be there. I read a quote by an author somewhere that uh, maybe it was Salman Rushdie who said that once a writer is born in a family, that family is doomed. So thankfully, nobody in my family is a reader. I mean, the young people are, but they know them already. So yes, obviously it is. They can be anybody. Some of my characters are my students, who are students who look up to me, and I look up to them because I find them, you know, not what I was when I was their age. They are very much bigger things to me. So anybody can be a character.
Do you also take out, any kind of anger or, while you're writing them? Like, if some things that you may not be able to tell them directly on their face, so do you put it in your writing? This is just out of curiosity.
No, I don't leave anything like that. If I am angry with you, I will tell you. So that's not a problem. Yes, I don't vent out, but if I'm loving somebody and making them the main character of my novel, then the anger and other parts also should be there. You cannot have all the goodies and
Hi, Aftab. So you spoke about not being like not aware or not too conscious of your process. Do you think that's a choice? Like being aware will change the process, or like I'm just curious why you don't have words for your process.
I have never liked the technicality of things. So I feel something, I think about something, I write it. I don't know because even in my education also everywhere I'm like that only. I don't prepare. I don't know. I told you also.
I can attest to that.
I don't I like to be whatever comes to my head because preparation is what you asked me whether I was nervous and I told her that preparation makes me nervous. If I'm unprepared, it's fine. So I'll be whatever I am. I have to bear it.
Wonderful. If we have no other questions, I think we're also out of time. So, everyone, please keep an eye out for Waiting for Father. It is an excellent piece of literature, and I am saying this not as someone with vested interest, but because I genuinely believe it and I really love the book. So, we will keep you updated on the release date of Waiting for Father. In the meantime, please follow Aftab on social media. And thank you all so much. Thank you, Aftab, for coming all the way.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank, I'm especially thankful to her because that's why I came here. Thank you.